Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 790 for the 23rd of April, and the frontline changes has already published. I bet you have watched it. If you have not watched it, the link is at the end of this video, the pop-up, and then you can just click it. So we're going to start off with the Kherson Front. So at the Kherson Front, we still had Krinky happening. The Krinky thing is still a thing today, with the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported about the Russian attack over at Krinky. So this continues. Opposite the shore of Dnipro River, there is another helicopter guided missile strike on Lvov. So he's over here, and I think that's about it. Oh, there's another one. The Russian Defense Ministry reported bombardment over at Berdychi. This is an ongoing thing. The last time they reported was on the 21st of April, and then there's another one over at Zaporizhzhia, similar situation. So there must be some kind of a troop gathering or concentration of forces over at the Zaporizhzhia and Berdychi that gather such kind of attention from the Russian Defense Ministry. Russian forces. So we move on over from the Kherson Front into the Zaporizhzhia Front. This is Zaporizhzhia, and this is Zaporizhzhia Front. Over the Zaporizhzhia Front, there is only one update coming from Robotyne, with Russian forces continuing the attack, and apparently they are geolocated around here, which means that they are trying to push in this direction, which may actually also invalidate this entire area to be under Russian control, which means the Ukrainian mapping is actually correct, but tentatively we do not know what is the situation. According to Deep State UA, they say that the fighting is on the eastern outskirts of the village of Robotyne, which is here, but we do not know, right? Like the situation here is pretty much a gray zone right now. There's a heavy fog of war over Robotyne. We will wait and see if any significant thing happen, and then we get more information from it. We move into the Donetsk Front. So this is Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, we have Russian forces continuing their attack over at Staromayovsky, HEORHIIVKA, Vodian, over at NOVOBAKHMUTIVKA, towards Zaporizhzhia. The one in the south probably moved towards Konstantinivka over here, and there is fighting reported at HEORHIIVKA as well as HEORHIIVKA as usual. So this is the current situation over the front line. We zoom in over to the Velika Novosilka sector. We have ATGM attack, anti-tank guided missile attack against Ukrainian tanks that is positioned just east of Robotyne. There's a Lancet attack against Ukrainian self-propelled artillery just off Velika Novosilka. Russian forces, of course, was attacking Robotyne and Staromayovsky, but that's about it that we know of this area here. We move to the Voleda sector. There is a geolocation of Ukrainian forces just off the river, the Kashlahash River, where the Russian artillery and FPV drone is hitting Ukrainian positions along this area here. So the Russian forces are holding the village, and then the Ukrainian forces are holding the settlement, or rather the industrial zone north of it. So this is the current situation, and we move on. Fighting reported at Vodian is according to the Russian and Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Vodian is this place here. However, it's unclear if the Russians are attacking from the south or from the east. So we will just wait and see how this progress. We move on over at the NOVOBAKHMUTIVKA region. The Russian forces captured the entire of NOVOBAKHMUTIVKA. They are now pushing in two different directions, towards Zaporizhzhia and towards Konstantinivka. And bombardments was reported by the Russian Defense Ministry on Konstantinivka. So we'll wait and see how this continue to develop. Over at HEORHIIVKA, the Russian forces attacking from the south, taking some frontline changes. Reported by the Ukrainian side, Russian forces is likely to be swinging from the south and trying to avoid fighting through the center of the village, maybe to hit to the rear position, forcing the Ukrainians to fight in two different directions. And the Russians then can attack from a third direction, then forcing them to attack, have to defend in three different directions, forcing a withdrawal. So this is probably what I think will happen. But of course, Russian forces is very unpredictable. It's very hard to tell what they're going to do. Over at HEORHIIVKA itself, there is just a geolocation of a Russian airstrike. Over this location, there are also some other geolocation of HEORHIIVKA, of mortar strikes, but it's not very important. The front line has not changed, and there's no reports of assault being reported over at HEORHIIVKA. So that's all for the Donetsk Front. We move into the Avdiivka Front. Over at the Avdiivka Front, Russian forces continue their Avdiivka offensive with fighting reported eastern part of Novokalinovo. There's fighting reported at OCHERETYNE. Russian forces attack NOVOBAKHMUTIVKA, and they actually captured it as well. BERDYCHI, Semenivka, towards Yasnoborodivka, Notelove, out of Pervomaysky. So this is the current Russian attack. Ukrainians counterattack at Notelove, Umansky, over at this is Semenivka, BERDYCHI, and Novobakhmutivka counterattack at OCHERETYNE. And there's no reports of there over at Novokalinovo. There's an attack over here, but you can't see it. We'll talk about it in the Niu-York Front. So this is the strategic situation over at the Avdiivka Front. And if you zoom in from the southern part, you can see that the Russians are still trying to push out from wherever they have captured. There's not much changes in terms of the front line. Ukrainian forces are just holding the line tentatively, probably very successfully at this moment, because there's no front line changes being reported. The center part, Russian forces managed to capture the center west of BERDYCHI. And this leaves Ukrainian forces with only a little bit of the settlement left on the western part. So let me zoom in further. Probably you can see clearer. So Ukrainian forces only left with this area here. Russian forces taken the center part, and they have captured all these positions. But Ukrainian forces, of course, got all these tree lines. They are able to defend, pretty effectively across all these tree lines. Russian forces geolocated in the center of Semenivka, meaning that they have captured a bit more. But this entire area in the center part between the Semenivka and BERDYCHI is likely to have no Ukrainian forces over there, because it's just impossible to hold a position over there. Ukrainian forces likely to be here. This area here, they're probably there. This area here is probably unlikely. Maybe there are some infantry, hiding over there, but likely this is where they're going to launch attacks from. And this is the current situation here. For those that they did not know, there is actually an airbase. No, not airbase. There's a small little airfield around here. This is for the farmers to use. So this could be useful for as a temporary launch point for helicopters and whatnot. But at this moment, of course, this is just a front line. So we will continue to monitor. The Russians are making progress over the BERDYCHI, and Semenivka means that they're going to do a pincer at this position, capturing this area here, and then they will actually try to push out. But like I said, the tree lines around here makes it very advantageous for the Ukrainian forces to hold positions. So it will take some time before the Russians are able to push out of this area here. Over at the northern part, we have OCHERETYNE and Novobakhmutivka. Important thing to note is that Deep State UA's mapping shows Novobakhmutivka to be entirely captured by the Russian forces. This comes expectedly, in a way that the Russian forces, after capturing OCHERETYNE, would be able to hammer down from the north, with Russian forces able to attack from the east as well as from the forest in the northeast. Means that Novobakhmutivka is extremely difficult to hold. So we have information from the Russian side talking about Ukrainian forces redrawing, probably to Svatove, which is likely the next front line, because there's some very good tree lines around here that allows them to create a better defensive position rather than stay at Novobakhmutivka, which is probably flattened by now. So it would not be a very easy place to hold a defense line. So this is where we are seeing the forces change. So And the situation at Ocheretine continues to develop expectedly, with the Russian forces expanding their control from the center of Ocheretine, expanding outwards in all directions, and creating a better buffer zone. And of course, the Russian forces taking the NOVOBAKHMUTIVKA region totally secures the southern part of Ocheretine. So the settlement itself, I think this town is going to fall maybe between 3 to 1 week time. The Ukrainian forces, but it still comes down to whether the Ukrainian forces want to do a massive counterattack to keep the fighting over at Ocheretine. My opinion is that if they really want to secure the strategic posture, they need to counterattack, and they need to hold the Russians over at Ocheretine, and then conduct attacks against the choke points, the points where it's like less it's more harder to secure a supply line, because this looks like a very small throat, so the Ukrainian forces can attack in this area here to force a Russian withdrawal from Ocheretine if the Ukrainians are being successful. But the thing is, do the Ukrainians have the capability to do offensive operations? I'm not sure, because we haven't really seen them do much for some time. Their counterattacks so far, there is some success, particularly over at the BERDYCHI region. This is where they have more success in terms of the counter-offensive operations. But generally speaking, they are outgunned and outmanned over this front line. So it's going to be really hard. And over at Novokalinovo, Russian forces are attacking on the eastern part. They are pushing northward from this area here. It looks like they are going to bypass the Novokalinovo, which is a very strong defensive position right now. They're probably going to hit to the rear and go towards Okhanelsk and attack from the north towards Kramik, bypassing the main defense lines. I suspect this is what the Russians might want to do. And then this will collapse the two village. So we will wait and see whether this develops in the way how I imagine it to be. At Novokalinovo itself, ATGM hits Ukrainian forces FPV drone center. So which means that there is certain positions where the Russians are at, have the capability to fire ATGM to hit the target. So the Russians are not far away. They're totally not far away from Novokalinovo. So the fire control over Novokalinovo is going to be a problem for the Ukrainian defenders as well. We move into the New-York Front. At the New-York Front, we have geolocation at the southern New York of a Russian airstrike. At this area here, Ukrainian forces counterattack in the area of Oleksandropil. So this could be a flanking operation, or where because the Russians are pushing in this area, maybe the Ukrainians think that by attacking the other NOVOBAKHMUTIVKA, this might be able to distract the Russians into diverting their attention to this area here. I'm not sure, maybe, but so we will continue to monitor and see how this progress. Moving into the Bakhmut Front. So in the southern flank of the Bakhmut Front, we have fighting reported at HEORHIIVKA, but nothing else over this area here. South of there is a geolocation of Russian rocket artillery hitting Ukrainian positions just off OCHERETYNE. So we will wait and see. This front line, this basically just confirms that the front line remains to go along the canal. So this is nothing surprising. We move into the center part. At the central area, we have fighting reported at Nove as well as Ivaniske, but there is no front line change. The Ukrainian forces, the Ukrainian forces actually report, according to Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source reported that the Ukrainian forces have a successful attack in the south of Ivaniske, capturing some positions. So maybe this is the counter-attack they are looking for, enable to attack to the rear positions and hopefully, forcing a Russian defensive line to develop or to redraw. But I'm not sure. So according to the Deep State UA, they say that the front line have changed. But based on my mapping, there's actually no change in terms of the front line. So yeah, so that's what it is. So maybe the front line is very minute, or maybe that I have already mapped it in, based on all the different sources that I'm following. So for some time ago, so maybe that's why. and it could be also that they captured some gray zones, which it still will remain as a gray zone because I need Russian corroboration. If not, the mapping not going to change. And talking about mapping, for those that did not know, this map is now available. This map is now available for you to view. It's now reopened to public. You can check the description below to check it out. And we move on from the Bakhmut Front into the Siversk Front. At the Siversk Front, Russian forces continue their Siversk offensive, with fighting reported at HEORHIIVKA, Verkhem and at Sperne. At Robotyne itself, there is a Russian airstrike being geolocated, and that's about it from the Siversk Front. We move into the Kreminna Front. At the Kreminna Front, Russian forces attacked Kherson, Yampolevka, as well as the Brova region. So this front line definitely has returned to its old glory days. So we will wait and see. Video footage coming out from Siversk Forestry showing that the forest look pretty bare, but it's still a forest. It's just the leaves doesn't seem to have grown back yet. So that's about it. We move away from Kreminna. Over at the Svatove Front, we have fighting reported at HEORHIIVKA, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. The last report was from November. So this is an interesting report. There is no report about fighting at NOVOBAKHMUTIVKA, so I'm not sure how the Russians managed to reach HEORHIIVKA. So we'll wait and see how this progress. There's also fighting reported at Berzdove, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry as well. So these two attacks is interesting, but this is probably going to be one-off, just like the other attacks being reported at like Nadia, Stemerkivka, Novoselivsky, also at this area called, I'm not sure which was the town. HEORHIIVKA. So it could be just a one-off, like all these other attacks, this just one-off attacks, just to harass the Ukrainian forces. So I think that's probably it. And I just realized there's a name called Lisna Istinka. I know Lisna stinks. Okay, so hope your name is not Lisna. And over at the Kupiansk Front, there is nothing happening over the Kupiansk Front. We move into the border regions. There's nothing over the border regions, and that's about it. So this is the summary for the day of 790 for the 23rd of April. Press the like button, subscribe, share this with the people that would be interested in real information, no objective views, no neutral views, do share it to them. If they want propaganda, then there is okay. There's a lot of propaganda channels out there. Just follow them. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.